Welcome to Nice Ashes. I'm kicking this episode off, and I'm Nate.
And I was cut off rudely, and I am Mike. So, what are we smoking today, Nate?
We're smoking a Tatiana Waking Dream. Hopefully not a fever waking dream, but only time will tell. This thing is long, and it is almost as skinny as like a cheroot.
It is, and it smells like kind of cocoa.
It smells like kind of a perfume. Like, I don't know if I should ask this thing out to the dance floor or smoke it.
I am not excited. We have a ton of these Tatianas, all different flavors.
Oh, god damn. The cap. Well, have you tried the cap yet, Mike?
I did, and it tastes exactly like I thought it would.
Some kind of like fruit punch thing or something. I don't know. It's not altogether unpleasant, but it's not altogether pleasant either. It's a flavor punch in the mouth. A fruit punch almost.
First couple puffs, I like it, actually.
It's not bad, actually.
It's not bad.
The cap is very, very strong and led to my trepidation. But
the smoke is very flavored, sweet. Not unpleasant at all, though. Sugary.
It's very sugary. It's not unpleasant. It's kind of like one of those mixed drinks or cocktails. And you look at it and you're like, I don't know, man. Like, seems like it's going to be overly sweet or seems like it's going to be whatever this, that, and the other thing. And then you try it and you're like, hey, actually, that's pretty tasty. That's tasty. So far, this is tasty.
Yeah, so far it's like, it's surprisingly good. Good.
So far, it's better than 85% of the CAO flavors.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, I thought for sure it was going to be like ass.
Yeah, you never know. I don't know what ass tastes like, but you would let me know, I'm sure.
Yeah. Tastes like you're... I'm not even going to say it.
Might as well. We're doing Off the Hinges episode.
We are. This is a rambling episode, or a bullshit episode, which we didn't do last season, and this is the first of the year. We figured we'd shoot the breeze and see
what the breeze shoots back.
Yeah, it tastes, there we go.
Yeah.
So, Nate, you were explaining something to me earlier, I believe.
I was. The penis goes in the vagina.
Boys have penises and girls have vaginas. I mean...
I see you taught them the basics, kindergarten cop. No, I wanted to pontificate on something, a topic, if you will. It's not really a full episode topic. I've tried to do some research on it, but it's not really a thing, is what it is. It's not even really a thing. Other than maybe it's an interesting thought experiment. And we had a friend that was complaining about being not verbally abused at work, verbally assaulted at work. And so I was like, what is even that? You know, like, I'm aware that, you know, the First Amendment protects all speech up to the point of you can't, you know, threaten somebody's well-being. You can't threaten their family. You can't, you know what I mean? And then there's like libel and slander to consider in terms of verbal things that aren't protected by the First Amendment. But according to the overview of what verbal assault is, it's a form of psychological abuse that involves using words to threaten, insult, or intimidate somebody. It can include yelling, name-calling, and threats. So some examples of verbal assault are yelling or speaking aggressively, which I think, how do you define aggressively? That's solely based on the person claiming verbal assault, right?
Right.
Like, there's not really a formula for is it aggressive, because anything can be aggressive these days, like anything. And the next one is name-calling or swearing. Well, I guess get in line for the complaints against Nate. I mean, I try not to name call, but I sure as shit do fucking swear sometimes. Wait, did I just? Damn it. I think I just did swear. Making threats or blackmailing. So I like threats and blackmailing, they're not legally protected. You can't threaten somebody or blackmail somebody. That's just not a thing. Gaslighting. So I guess I've been verbally assaulted by my boss who says I should feel lucky to have a job and not complain about not getting a raise.
Well,
I guess that's
the
verbal
American
assault.
way
Yeah,
there.
Yeah. Fuck you, communists. Manipulating someone into doing something. I thought that was the art of the deal. Is that not the art of the deal?
Isn't that one of the things in life that everybody does all the time?
Pretty much all the time. Every day. Patronizing someone. Mike, that was such a great comment. I'm just teasing. But like patronizing someone, we can't be sarcastic anymore. Blaming someone for something. Man, you got kind of crazy when you stabbed me in the leg with that steak knife. Now that's verbal assault. That would be verbal assault. Blaming someone for something. Blaming someone is verbal assault. Sometimes people have blame, right?
Yeah, sometimes people do bad things, and they should be blamed for doing them.
And then what? That's verbal assault.
I guess so.
Ridiculing someone. So if I make fun of Elon Musk for being fucking stupid, that's verbal assault.
Well, I know that he loves chainsaws.
Insulting someone, I guess that's verbal assault. The thing is, I don't think people should have to be called names in their day-to-day, but I also don't think it's like verbal abuse or verbal assault. I guess like verbal assault to me is like, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill your family, I'm going to feed your body pieces to your family and then kill them. Or, like, that's like verbal.
It's a threat, yeah.
Yeah, that name calling, swearing, blaming someone. Gee, I think you overreacted when you called me a jerk on that work call. Now I'm verbally assaulting someone because I said that. I blamed them for calling me a jerk. I'm verbally assaulting someone? That doesn't sound right. At least in my mind. I don't know.
I agree.
Maybe I'm old-fashioned in that sense. People shouldn't be called names. Like those are all things I think we can agree on, right? Like you shouldn't go day to day and be hit. You shouldn't go day to day and be called an idiot or a jerk or whatever else. But if you are called those things, like how big of a deal is it, I guess? And it probably has to do with frequency, right?
Oh, sure. It's situational.
It's situational.
Verbal assault seems like two words that shouldn't really be put together in my brain, but I'm also
Same.
Probably too old to care about what other people think for the most part.
Yeah, also same. I don't, my self-worth doesn't have much to do with what other people think of me. Not that I'm going to go all Clint Eastwood and shouting at people on my yard, on my lawn, but
right,
it's
this goes back to the obsession we have as a culture with pronouns. I recently had a call with an insurance company, and they asked me my pronoun. I was like, I don't care what call me. I just want to deal with the issue that I'm calling you about. Call me whatever you want. I don't care. And the other person didn't have a response to that. It's like the first time this person ever heard that in their life. And I'm like, this cannot possibly be the first time you've ever heard this response. Like, what the fuck is going on here? I don't care how you refer to me at all. I just want my question answered. That's it. Everything else is irrelevant. Like, I don't know you. I never want to talk to you again. I wish you well. Don't care. That's it.
Yep.
I never want to talk to you again. Person on the other phone or on the other side of my phone. Don't care. Don't fucking care. Like, my name's Mike. Your name is whatever. I don't even care what your name is. You shouldn't even care what my name is.
Doesn't even matter. Yeah.
Doesn't even matter.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Look at my account. See how long I've been a customer. Give me the shit. Like, let's fix this.
Figure it out. I have a question. Give me the answer. That's it.
Yep. Reminds me of the John Wayne movie where he's like, this isn't his name in the movie, right? But you can call me Nate, you can call me Dad, you can call me Father, you can call me son of a bitch, but don't you ever call me Daddy again.
Yep. I think it was Big Jake.
Big Jake, that's it.
Big Jake.
And, it's like, and one of my favorite memes from the pronoun era, which I hope we're out of, but probably not, is my pronouns are none. Don't think about me, don't refer to me, don't talk to me, just leave me alone.
Yep. It's like, I don't fuck care, man. I do not judge my self-worth on what other people think. So
yeah. Well, and I don't know if you had a similar phenomenon, Mike, when you were maybe, freshman year of high school. This is different because we only had a house phone. There was only a house phone. Nobody had cell phones. And you'd pick up the phone and answer the phone call, right? And you'd be like, hey, hello. I'd be like, hey, ma'am, are your parents home or whatever? And it's like, I'm a dude. And they're like, oh, okay. Because like your voice hasn't changed yet, right? Your voice hasn't dropped yet or gotten the super manly podcast-worthy voices that you're listening to now. But... I was angry about it, but looking back at it, it's like, it doesn't even matter. Like, who cares? Who cares?
Irrelevant. And, I was aware it was irrelevant then.
Well, yeah. It
doesn't matter.
I'm upset about it because I want to be, like, seen as a man and what I am, but what could I do about it? Like, nothing, really, other than say, like, well, I'm actually a man. Oh, okay. And that was the end of it. But, if I counted how many times my kids called me mom instead of dad, I don't know, I'm out of fingers and toes, and I'm out of your fingers and toes, right? Like, it doesn't matter because to them, it doesn't mean anything gender specific. It's just, you're either mom or dad. They don't understand. And that's fine. They don't have to. It's not an important thing. Like, I don't feel slighted in any way by being called mom instead of dad. It's not a huge deal. It doesn't matter.
I got a thought experiment for you, Nate.
All right.
All these they, them type individuals who are having kids, do they enforce that with their children? Like when they're little, like 1.5-year-old babies?
If they're terrible parents,
you should call me they, them.
If they're terrible parents, they do.
I would like to see a documentary about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting because it was very funny. It was a recent event in our household. And it wasn't really an event. It was just something that my wife was not aware of. And she was lit up. And then I made her aware, and she was like, oh, okay. Because there's, so my wife works evenings and nights. And so I usually put the kids to bed. And sometimes they make a huge, giant mess. They take everything out of every crevice that they have in their room, right? And so I'm like, okay, have fun. Do what you want to do. The rule is, before we do the bedtime routine, this room is picked up. And they're like, oh, okay. And they continue like tearing things out of the wall and whatever and making a huge, giant mess in their room and whatnot. And then I'm like, hey, guess what? We got about 15 minutes before the nighttime routine. So is your room picked up? No, I'm going to go do it now. And then, 5 minutes later, I kind of wander down and look in and, like the oldest one is coloring with crayons in a coloring book. Room still an absolute disaster. The 1.5-year-old hasn't done anything because he's 1.5. Like, that's to be expected, right? So, I mean, part of it is understanding where they are. And then so I'm like, well, I see you're coloring. We only got about 10 minutes left before nighttime routine and this and that and the other thing. And, the oldest one keeps postponing. And then it's time for the bedtime stuff. And, if she asks for help, I help her all the time, 100%. She doesn't always ask for help. And I don't offer that as a solution to her usually. I'm just like, hey, you made the mess, you can pick it up. Like, it should only take you about 5 minutes to pick all this up. I gave you 15 minutes, which is 3 times longer than what it should take to pick up. You put the stuff in that bin there and put that bin away, and then you're done. And it's a whole big thing. Like, it's a whole big fight, and it's like, well, you made the mess, pick it up. If you want to make a pile of your books and I can put them back in your bookshelf, I'm happy to do that, whatever. And, but, so at the end of that, or during that, sometimes she'll be like, well, I don't love you. I only love mom. I don't love you. And I'm like, okay, I still love you. Not a big deal. Because, it's a child trying to express that they're angry, that I'm asking them to pick up the mess they made, which seems silly as an adult, right? Like, you made this mess, you should pick it up. That should be, that's fairly straightforward for an adult, but for a kid, it's not. Well, the other night, my wife got hit with, I don't love you, I only love dad. And then, that was the whole thing, and that happened, and the kids went to bed, and my wife comes over, and I'm like, oh, it's so weird being on the other side of that. She's like, what? Other side of what? What are you talking about? I said, well, usually every night it's, I don't love you, I love mom. And because I'm making him pick stuff up. And she's like, what, really? So I shouldn't take that super personal? I'm like, no.
Yeah, no.
They're just angry. It's not a big deal. Like, don't worry about it. They still love you. It's just they don't know what else to say to, like, hurt you or express their anger. They're not really trying to, whatever it is. But,
The anger is there. They don't have the words to express it.
Well, yeah, and they don't know exactly what they're angry about. Having to pick up their mess, maybe, but they can't express that. Like, I can't believe I made this mess, and you're asking me to pick it up. That's unconscionable.
Tyranny. When they call Ayn Rand about it.
Yeah, didn't we fight a revolutionary war about this? Yeah, the British wanted the colonists to pick up after themselves before going to bed. And they just threw tea in harbor instead.
So I'm about halfway through. Are you halfway through?
A little less than that because I've been pontificating. But it is as good as the first few puffs. It's surprisingly decent. It's surprisingly good. I am not disliking this at all.
I am shocked that it doesn't suck. I will say that I have a pile of tobacco that I'm taking out of my mouth and slowly putting on my towel. Because every single time I put my mouth on it, I'm trying to change the way I suck on it, and I'm still getting tobacco out the end. I think that this probably has like almost pipe tobacco on the inside. I don't think it's rolled leaf.
Sure.
I think it's loose tobacco. Are you getting loose tobacco?
I've been getting a few Scooby snacks, if that's what you're talking about. But not as much as some of the other cigars we've recently smoked. Of course, the Aaron Bra, I had a disastrous cut, split issue, and then a knife attempt fix that didn't fix. So I got a lot of debris out of that one. This one I've had a little bit of debris, but not an inordinate amount. It's been pretty good.
I could start a farm with how much tobacco that I've taken out of my mouth.
That's crazy.
It is shocking. And I just cut it with my regular cutter.
Sure.
Like I normally would. No deeper than I think it was appropriate.
Yeah.
Given its size. Yeah. But yeah.
I switched away from that other cutter I was using, and I went back to my standard cutter, which is the Z-Fi or Zi-Fi V-cut, which is probably a good 1/4 inch shallower of a V-cut than the one I used on the Aaron Bra.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and I just have my Calibri, so...
Yeah, which is about the same depth as mine from what I've gathered when we've smoked together.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of debris, but the flavor is great. Like this
That's crazy, because I'm not getting that debris.
I'm getting a ton of debris, but the flavor is exactly what you want it to be from a very flavored cigar. Like this is a very flavored...
Yes, it's very sweet.
Very sweet. I don't even know what the flavor itself would be called.
Man, I don't know what the flavor is either, other than like sugar.
Yeah. It's sugary, chocolatey, and perfumey.
Yeah.
All three.
Well, at the top of the episode, I said I don't know if I should ask it out to dance or smoke it, because it smells perfumey. It doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't
Waking Dream is a good.
Yeah, I think so.
It is pretty accurate.
I think so. One of those rare instances where it's... But yeah, so going back to verbal abuse or verbal assault. In the workplace, of course, verbal assault falls under the harassment or verbal abuse, verbal assault. You can't call your coworkers fucking retards, I guess, according to what my HR said.
All right.
Can't call them foreskin. They disappear when things are hard.
Can't call them bitches. I know that.
Yeah, that's probably
they frown on that.
Yeah. It's not looked positively upon. But in the grand scheme of life, the universe, and everything, verbal abuse does not exist as a crime. Physical assault, for sure. Threatening physical injury or violence is also illegal, but verbal abuse is not. Threatening violence upon somebody can be prosecuted, but calling them any slew of names can't really be prosecuted. If you took to the internet and made a blanket statement or something saying so-and-so is a whatever, and blah, 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 potentially you could be opening yourself up to, libel or slander charges, depending on the audience and how many people it actually reached. But in other words, as long as you're not threatening somebody, and as long as you say things like, in my opinion, you are dumber than a pile of rocks, It's not really calling them dumber than a pile of rocks. It's just saying that in your opinion it is. So then you're just stating your opinion. And there's a whole sort of like, verbal wordplay or verbal sparring you can do to mitigate any kind of liability against yourself. Not that I'm advocating for telling your underachieving coworker that they're worthless, but if you do so, do it in a way that isn't a fireable offense.
Absolutely. For example, if an individual is doing 80% of the work of a 3-person team, maybe the other 2 people doing that 20% need to pick up pace a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
And especially if that's backed by data. That's starts to get when data is involved, it starts to get a little wild.
Actually, Mike, I am getting some feedback on my cigar. And by feedback, I mean bits of things in my mouth. So it's not just you.
This feels to me like it's a very high quality, like black and tan style cigar where you have a tobacco leaf, a real tobacco leaf as the outer.
Yeah.
With a pipe filler, like a pipe tobacco filler, which is very pleasant. It's not unpleasant.
Oh, it's not unpleasant at all. Even with the Scooby snacks, it's not a large amount of them.
This would so benefit from a wood tip or something of that nature.
Yeah.
I got about 2 inches left, and I just got my first puff that didn't have all the flavor. It might be me, though, so pre-warned.
I'm going to try and catch up. I always choose my words very, very carefully at work because you have to. And I had a meeting with my immediate supervisor and said that the people that they put in charge of everything, that I didn't know what they did. And for all that I know, they could be drinking tea and eating crumpets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I had a meeting, follow-up meeting with my boss's boss. And they were like, well, I heard you said you think the people in charge of everything drink tea and eat crumpets all day. And I said, that's not accurate at all. I said, verbatim, for all I know, they're doing those things. I never said I thought they were doing those things. I never said I'm accusing them of doing those things. I said that for all the communication I have from them, they could be doing that. They could be doing any number of things. The point was, for all I know. Not I know for a fact they're sitting around drinking tea and eating crumpets, but for all I know. Which was enough to get me by. Then I'd have to go to HR.
Right.
Because it's my perspective of what's happening. And I was able to take that and then tell the boss of the boss that there's no communication, which they've admitted to me. They said there's no communication on this team. And so I said, well, for all I know, the people that are in charge of these things are drinking tea and eating crumpets because there's no communication. How do I know what they're doing? I have no way of knowing what they're doing. And I told my boss's boss, I don't even really care what they're doing, but they're not communicating with me. So whatever. It doesn't matter to me what they're doing. I'm just the data entry guy. I don't know what's going on. I don't need to know what's going on. But if you're going to sit here and ask me, like, what's the grand overarching vision of this team? I don't know. For all I know, the grand overarching leaders of this team are drinking tea and eating crumpets. How would I know what the grand overarching anything is? Nobody talks to me. I don't know what's going on. And I was able to turn that into a thing where it's like, if there's no communication, I can assume any number of things about what they're doing, none of which are probably true. But again, if I'm not being communicated with, how would I know?
How did that go over?
Oh, just fine, because they can't do anything about it, because I never said they were doing those things. I just said, for all I know. And that's the whole point with HR, is as long as you say my perception of this is, or for all I know is, or, how this makes me feel is, they can't actually do anything against you, because those are just feelings and perceptions that you have. They don't have to be true. They're just feelings and perceptions. Other than, I guess, verbal assault is not really a thing, in terms of as long as you're not threatening to do physical harm to them, which then, of course, is a crime.
Is there a backstory to why we are doing this investigation into verbal assault?
Yes.
Did you allegedly, were you ever accused falsely of verbally assaulting someone?
No. It's funny because it actually has nothing to do with me at all. One of our neighbors, who's a friend of my wife's, was complaining that they were verbally assaulted at work. And I was like, what? Because I'd never heard the term like verbal assault before. Like I'm aware of like verbal abuse or whatever, where it's like they continually mock you or bully you verbally. But I was like, verbal assault. What does that even mean? How is that even a thing? And, the Google search is like, oh, yeah, swearing, being angry, blaming someone, like gaslighting. So I guess the last 5 jobs I applied to are guilty of verbal assault because they gaslit me or something, or catfish me. Like, I don't, what? Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Man, like, am I that different than the modern kids? Like, when we went to school, it was almost every day that I was like called something, but it wasn't like oh, teacher, they called me a this or a that. I was just like, oh, like I rubber your glue, whatever. Or, like, I know you are, what am I? Like, it wasn't a huge thing. Yeah, it was just kind of like verbal sparring.
Go fuck yourself.
Right?
Go fuck yourself. Teacher, Mike said go fuck yourself. Mike, did you say that? No, why would? Yeah, no, what does that mean? You lied, whatever your face is, and the next day, oh, Mike, you're fat. Go fucking fuck yourself, you dirty, filthy whore.
Yeah.
Teacher, he called me a filthy whore. Mike, did you say that? Like, I don't even know what that means, teacher.
Yeah. What do those words mean?
What does that mean? What are you saying?
Well, and I told my daughter, I'm like, if somebody calls you an idiot, just tell them, I know you are, but what am I? But she doesn't know that it's like an insult. And she's like, well, I said I know you are, but what am I? But they didn't say my name. And I'm like, okay, like, you don't understand name calling. That's fine. Like, that's cute. Like, you shouldn't, like, you shouldn't understand name calling. Like, it shouldn't even be a thing because there's no reason for it. All of you kids are like 4 or 5 years old. Like, what is that even about? Like, what are you on about? Like, you can't just play, like, just have fun. You're like 4 years old. Just have fun. Like, this is the time in your life to have fun without paying taxes, without getting a job, without driving a car, without paying gas, without, like, like, this is your time to have fun. Like, why are you wasting it spending calling names? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But of course, they don't have, like, the experience that we have as adults. So I get it. But, like, now I have to sit here and try and explain, like, calling somebody an idiot is a bad thing. And it's not really, they're trying to say your name is idiot. Like, I don't need to be explaining that. But do I think that's verbal assault? No.
No, it's shithead behavior. Little kid shithead behavior. Yeah.
Do I think a light slap is being hit? I mean, technically, yes.
In the eyes of the law. What I know is that if you slap a cop, that's felony attempted murder. So, I want to be respected as much as a cop.
They're somehow worse than soccer players.
Yes, they are. Worse than basketball players.
Yeah, for sure. So, do I think anyone should be slapped lightly at school? No. Do I think anybody should be hit lightly at school? No. Do I think anyone should be hit mediumly at school? No. Do I think anyone should be hit at all at school? No. But I don't know. Like, I guess it was just different when we were kids, right? Like, that kind of stuff happened, and we tried not to involve the teacher.
No, that was what a bitch did. You resolved those problems internally before it got to that point. You got your crew together and you stomped asses, more or less. Your stomp-ass version of a 7-year-old or whatever. But
well, and like, this is 3 years younger than that, so it's like I don't even remember pre-K or kindergarten or first grade or second grade. Honestly,
I don't either. So
it's kind of like I remember some middle school stuff and high school stuff, but most of the stuff before then I don't really like. I have kind of like visions of it in my head, but not really something super concrete that I would be willing to, I don't know, like submit to a lie detector on. Like, I can't remember all that stuff. It was a long time ago, so I don't know how I was, but I know, like, middle school, it's like people called you names and you didn't really do much about it. Like, you couldn't do much about it in terms of like going to the teacher, because the teacher didn't really give a shit, which is probably different than how the teachers are now. But
yeah, the only people who are still teachers are people who are politically motivated to do so. They're not doing it for money, that's for sure.
Yeah, that is true. But yeah, I was kind of blown away with some of this verbal assault stuff where it's yelling or speaking aggressively, which you think
speak aggressively,
right? Which you think would be pretty clear cut, but you watch Anger Management and how they kind of gaslit him on the plane, and there's a whole big ruse at the end, right? But just even standing up for yourself could theoretically be speaking aggressively.
Oh, for sure. Oftentimes it is.
Yeah. And the blaming someone for something, like that's as broad as it gets. I can't believe you didn't send that email you said you're going to send. That's verbal assault, I guess.
Well, nobody wants to be held accountable. That's for sure.
That is for
Sounds like somebody doesn't want an accountability buddy, you know?
Yes. Well, and that's kind of the big failing of our society is somebody else is always to blame. And in the grand scheme, somebody else is, right? Like you and I aren't driving inflation. We're not setting tariffs. We're not driving the price of eggs up. We're not doing all these things. But in terms of verbal assault, if your coworker isn't pulling their weight or you made plans with a friend and they fall through on those, is calling them out on that verbal assault, I guess? Is asking people to be accountable for themselves verbal assault? I guess by the loose definition of this, potentially so.
Sounds to me like verbal assault is a weasel word used by certain groups to get out of being held accountable for their actions, potentially.
Yes. It seems like this verbal assault, and some of the definitions, some of it surely is. I think, like verbal abuse is definitely a thing. Maybe more so in relationships. If somebody's constantly putting you down, if your partner's constantly putting you down and constantly calling you names and constantly name calling you and stuff like that's definitely verbal abuse for sure. Right. I don't know that assault would ever enter into the lexicon for me.
No, there's shitty relationships, and
if it proceeds beyond that, then it's threatening. Then it's then it's a whole other level of things. But like you can be verbally abusive, but until you like make threats, it's not really anything. I'm not saying verbal abuse is okay. I'm just saying like in the terms of trying to claim verbal assault. I don't know that that's like a legit thing. I think if they're threatening you, then that's, an illegal threatening you kind of thing. It's not really verbal assault at that point. It's, I don't know, just illegal threatening, I guess.
Right. Well, Nate, I got about an inch and a half maybe left.
Same.
And the end of my cigar is pluming out like a flower. Like
take a picture for the Instagram.
Yeah, are coming out.
Take a picture
of my beautiful cigar.
Yes. I haven't had the pluming.
I don't really want to smoke anymore because...
That's fine. Mine, so I'm an inch and a half in. I don't have any pluming, but I've had consistent Scooby snacks, as we say. And the flavor's getting not good, which is fine because it was...
picture of it. My V-cut is now round on the end. So I took a picture, and I'll send it right now.
Yes. We don't have to keep smoking it. It was one of those ones where, based on the size of it, the length of it, this last inch and a half has turned kind of like bitter and not tasty, which, we've had with the Gurkhas, we've had with other things. It's just, like 3/4 of the stick were really good. And this last bit is not good, but that's okay. I guess I'll give it, I don't know that I would really I think I'd still do a factory sweet over this one, but I see you gave it a 3. I'm giving it a 3.5. I feel like it was a little bit better than kind of like mediocre, but again,
giving it a 3 because of the amount of dirt that I got off it.
Sure.
And I'm going to take a picture. Obviously, this is not for the Instagram. But I'm going to send you the picture so you can see just how much shit I grabbed out of the mouth.
Yep.
Because it was constant the whole time. And that maybe it was the cut. I don't think so, though. If you look at the end of my cigar that I sent you, I didn't cut it very deep. I cut it pretty much so the cap was still intact on the sides like you would. But you see all that debris on my napkin there?
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot. And that's all from this cigar. And I was just like, out of my mouth, onto the napkin. Constant.
Yep.
So I was like, I don't know. The flavor was good. I have to say that if you're looking after a flavored cigar, it's not bad. And they are cheap.
Bad.
You can get these cheap, like $1.50 a stick, something like that.
Sure.
If they're on sale.
And that's probably half the cost of a factory smoked sweet?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, this is a real value proposition. Like, this is something you could bring fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Smoke it. You catch a fish. It's hooked in. It's big. Throw it out of your mouth into the water. Who gives a fuck?
Yep.
You know? Like, really, you can just throw them into the water. They're as cheap as a Swisher Sweet and way better.
Way better.
I would rate a Swisher Sweet as a 1.
Yep. Yep.
Maybe a 1.5 if it's a wood tip.
Yep. Well, and I think, like, I gave it a 3.5 because I'd rather smoke, of course, the factory smoked sweets. But for the price of this and how good it was up until the very, like, last 1.5 inches, 2 inches maybe, it's hard to go wrong. I mean, you just put it out when you're done. If it's $1.50, like, just put it out when you're done. It doesn't even matter. It's hardly even, it's not even really a blip on the balance sheet at that point.
Right. No, I think this has a real place. These Tatiana, this particular Tatiana.
Yeah, we've got more coming up.
Yeah, we got more coming up. We'll see if they're different. That's the real question.
Are they different? I saw some real wild shit when I was trying to find this one. And I was like, what the fuck is this one about?
Exactly. Like, I'm excited. Now that I've had the first one, I'm excited to try them all.
Yeah, because you were very leery about this one.
Oh, I looked at them and I smelled them and I was like, oh my God. I don't know about this. This smells like an Eagles Club bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yes, indeed. But it turned out pretty good.
I would recommend it. If you're looking after a really cheap flavored cigar, I think this is all right. I think this is right on the money.
Oh yeah, I think for the price and the flavor you get for 3/4 of the stick is pretty dang good, and it's long. So 3/4 of the stick is as long as some other smokes that might be a little thicker.
Right? Yeah, this thing is like 6 inches long when it's fresh.
Yeah.
So it's a super shrew.
It is kind of, yeah. Check this one out. It's pretty decent, and don't go threatening people, okay? And thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week.
Be safe, have fun.